Been sitting on this thing forever. I've had it when it came out, when it was launched, because when I saw it, I knew what I was going to do with it. So, like I said, been sitting on it forever. So we're going with some classic colors. That's what this build's going to be about. It's not going to look like Black Adam anymore. I think it's going to look more like Shazam, at least the colors, the traditional colors. I love Shazam. I've always loved Shazam since I was a kid. But anyway, what we're doing here in this video is part 1 of the build. So, actually, it's a kind of tutorial with if you want to cheat some skin tone, where you could probably pull off a decent looking skin tone without doing all the multi-layers of the yellow, blue, and red, which I tried before, and I'm not, for this particular one, I don't need to go that deep and really be too particular because the face is going to be covered, so to speak, on this build. But if you want a straight out, run-of-the-mill kind of cheating way of doing skin tones, well, then you will probably want to check this out, because this is no secret, but this is how I was able to accomplish skin tone that looked relatively pretty good without doing all the actual work to actually get it to where you need it to be. Now, if this was a statue that I was going to do and I 3D printed this and the face was just a run-of-the-mill person, it wasn't, or even this the Rock, whatever, if I just printed him out, I would have to take more time and figure out what I was doing. But this is a easy first base coat of a traditional looking skin tone. Thanks for watching. Alright, we're going to start. Let me see here. I'm going to use the primer I always use. Some Warhammer paints, matte white. I'm going to coat everything white and then go from there. So the cape is done somewhat. I mean, it's just white, not a big deal. And then we have Black Adam himself here, just completely opaque white out primer. I did apply some resin to the face because my plan for this is kind of out of the ordinary. It's going to have traditional colors from Shazam the comic book, but the face is going to be probably what most people don't understand or won't get, but we'll get to that here soon. Okay, here we are. After it was primered all up, like I showed you, he dried, and also I hit it with a couple times with some matte clear coat. This time, normally I don't do that over top of spraying it with a primer because I go straight in with the paint, but this time I did just in case there's any kind of bumps or nicks that I can avoid, or tape peelage off or anything. This tape should be okay. It's not the blue tape, it's a different kind of tape. The 3M good stuff. Well, not the best stuff, but it's good enough. Anyway, we're going to go in. I did a spoon with some basic skin tone. Here's the base. I had this for quite a while and never really used it until now, but I'm going to use this. But my base color is this that I did on my Shazam. I mean, not Shazam, my Black Adam with the white suit. Some honey brown. I know this isn't the best way to do skin tone, and I need to learn how to do it the proper way, but it doesn't turn out too bad because when I'm done here, you're not going to see a whole lot of skin. I mean, you'll see the skin, but this is kind of a different build. This is a build with something else in mind, at least when it comes to his face. You won't recognize his face, so I'm going to keep that to the end. Nobody's really going to know where I'm going if I told you anyway, but right now he's got his gown on, his 3M gown on, just in case got overspray. If I get some, I don't care. But here we go. We're going to put the honey brown on first, then we're going to come back and I'll probably cut the film up so you can see what I'm doing. But here we go. Going a little too fast with this paint. This is the more inexpensive paint. It's basic acrylic, but Got to slow down. Can't go too fast because I start getting a little hasty, you know. I don't know why, but I do. The patience is a virtue that I'm not used to doing. The only problem with the cheaper kind of paints is that you have to water them down to get them smoothly to go through the airbrush, more than you would actually airbrush paint, at least in my experience. He's a little yellow right now. He's a little yellow. Don't know if that's a blemish on the sculpt. I think it is. I don't mind taking him down a little darker than he needs to be, just so I can bring the color back out. It's going to be a little runny no matter what, because it is a less expensive acrylic, but it definitely will work. If you just work it, it'll work for you. So, I'm going to hit it with the hairdryer. Now I'm getting a little more aggressive with it because I know I got a base coat on it. Well, you know what I mean. First coat is going to be a little more runnier when it comes to putting on a coat with the less expensive paint. Obviously it's thicker. It's not meant to really go through the airbrush. But it will work. Find it sometimes find better colors in the less expensive paints than I do with the good stuff. Now I'm going to go in with this supposedly basic skin tone for Model Air. I still have the PSI around 32, around 30 PSI. I have the mix at 40-60, 60 paint, 40 distilled water. So I don't know. I'm going against my best judgment here, and I just want to get the skin tone, kind of see what it looks like. Normally I would matte this out with clear coat and then come in later, but I think just adding the highlights is just because, I mean, like I said, the front of the face you're not going to really, you'll see it, but it's complete. I have a different idea to what I'm doing with this, so I'm just trying to get a basic skin tone. Going real lightly, and I'm holding back on the trigger just a little bit, not a whole lot. I'm not blasting it. I probably could turn down the PSI, but everybody's different. I like to work it this way where, I don't know, I get spurts when I do it the other way of the paint. I know it's probably my settings and everything, but I know, like I said, I've been only doing it for a couple years now, 2-3 years. This is definitely not the way to do skin tone, I guess, if you're going to do a professional sculpture. I don't know. Let me take them off. Gotta find what works for you, man. It ain't too bad. Probably have to go in and do some shadowing. Just a little bit, maybe. Possibly. I don't know. That might be it. I don't know. I don't want to opaque it out. I had the airbrush in my mouth because I don't have nowhere to put it when I'm talking. So that's not bad. I think I'm going to stay there because I'm actually going to do some pastel work on the head. You can see the crease where they put this thing together. It's a nice sculpt, but it's annoying when you actually see these things, especially after when you primer them out. So let's get them undressed and we'll give you a quick rundown. Okay, the follow-up, man. I think I got it pretty good, at least for my skill level when it comes to skin tones, which I'm horrible at. I tried it before and completely wrecked the piece because I just cannot do the yellow and the blue and the red wash how they do it, but that's some other time maybe. But for this build in particular, I don't really need to do that because, like I said, this is kind of a different build. There's going to be a little bit of disguise there, if you know what I mean. Anyway, there's the color. It worked out pretty good. I'm going to clear coat this, let this sit for a few hours. I'm going to hit it with some matte clear. But make sure when you're using a little less expensive kind of paint, this will go through the airbrush, but you got to cut it 50-50 or even more, depending on your airbrush and depending on how warm it is where you're airbrushing or how cold it is, which does make sense. I didn't think it did, but it does. But make sure you get down there in the bottom there, man. You got to pull the needle out, pull the front off. You don't have to take it completely apart. At least I used to, but I don't now. Keep the front end clean. You got to keep that clean because this stuff that's a little more thicker than the actual airbrush stuff, man. If it gets down there and that reservoir down there and dries up, it's going to cause you problems later. But anyway, this is where we're at. I may put these videos up now just so I can document them as we go along, because doing them all at one time is kind of a pain, and I don't know if that's, we'll see which one works better. The Donnie one was kind of a pain, but there you go. We got the primer done, the basic skin tone done, but I may go in there and hit with some pastels work, to hide some of my unskilled skills to actually, if that made any sense, to make it look like really skin. But this will work for this project. And yeah, got some overspray, but I was expecting that. You can't hide from it, but I'll matte it out, give it a couple coats of matte, and then I'll go in and I'll fix the lines. I don't want to fix the lines now with primer because if I get it on the skin and try to wipe it off, it'll wipe the skin off. So always matte. Every time you do something, give it a coat of matte. Give it a coat of matte. So here's where we're at.